This particular live stream took about 15 minutes to prepare. So the lighting was just right. So what I'm doing is I'm breathing in the light and I'm giving it to you. Healing energy, removing your negative thought forms that you may not have personally addressed yet. Become aware of that which lies dormant in your mind. Awaken now to the thought forms in your mind that you didn't even know that were there. Become aware of the black dots, whether it be hate, rage, rape, lust, racism, false flags, slander, trolling. Identify that inner archon and put it in solitary for the day, because that's all you can do is one day at a time to address your inner demon and go, you are not in control. I am in control, and activate your higher self. This is what you should do to prepare for what is coming. Are you prepared by chance? Do you speak English? If you speak English, and I'm assuming the answer is yes, and assuming that you're watching this, right? Then I'm assuming that you heard maybe some words that I had to say. I'm assuming maybe you heard me talk about 2025 for a number of years, where other people were going 2030, 2030, 2030, 2030, 2030, 2030, 2030, and that's fine. But 2030 is in 5 years. What's here is 2025. And so they really hit y'all real hard for years going 2030, 2030, 2030, grand solar minimum, grand solar minimum. The Syrians are coming. Like all different types of stuff they hit you with. Honey, you need some healing. You need a hug, bro. You need to drink a beer with me, a real man. And get inside my mind and turn it and see what I made of. You see that scene with Commando? I know, Bennett, you want to stick me with the knife and turn it and see what's inside. Come on, turn it and see what's inside me. Ask me a question. Email me. Ask me to help you see your programming. I'm a deprogrammer. Or did you not know that? And when you are a deprogrammer, when you are a healer, you can make women enraged at you. They can become possessed, that you're an abuser, that you're a cult leader, that you're this, that you're that, that you're a groomer, because they are taken by them. And so these entities lie dormant in human bodies. And it's so sad that people will say you're crazy, we talk like that, when they themselves talk like that about aliens, about archons. And so they're the ones that are actually being abusive because they're calling out someone who's basically speaking their language at a level that their partners cannot. So one of the things I talked about today is being very educated, that when you are too nice to women or men, they will run you over and back up multiple times with the vehicle, because the dopamine bells and whistles of orgasmic pleasure of hurting someone that is already at the bottom that's hurting. And if you say sorry when you shouldn't say sorry, when you were right, you will lose the respect of either your audience or your woman or a woman that perhaps you want to help. So be careful when kowtowing to zombies. So that's the first thing that I'm going to tell you. When the shit hits the fan, and it will, many people are going to be coming around offering to suck your dick for food, for shelter, for protection. And as a horny man who may not have fucked in 7 years, 10 years, who's been prepping, you need to think very long and hard about whether or not you're making the right decision when you let little Sarah in the door with her cute little ass. Underage too on top of it. You dog you. Because you know when it hits the fan that those little girls are going to be running all around offering men that which they could not taste prior. And I'm going to say no bueno. Resist thy inner demon. There'll be plenty of opportunities. The Antichrist, according to Leon, will be telling the human population, eat, feast, above all things, serve yourself. And I've reshared that Leon Nagant interview many, many times, and most people ignore it, don't share it, or dislike it. Why? Because both I and him are too right. So the nature of the modern man and woman is to hate the nice man or to manipulate the spiritual woman to become a bad girl. The reason I think, speculating here, that maybe some men make the mistake of losing themselves to their lust for young females is the perception that the young females have more of a purity, whereas the older ones have more of a nasty as the nasty demon-possessed murderers enter them, whereas someone who hasn't been with scumbag males may have higher frequency, so that may be where the attraction comes from. The other may be the reality that younger females are less brainwashed and may have a spiritual spark and may be less racist and hateful and basically be more curious and open about true lovemaking. And unfortunately, this world is sending men to prison, directing them and young females to get with people where it's against the law. So 50 Shades of Grey is being read by lots of teenagers and so basically a lot of what's happening with the targeting of these young females is preparation for human trafficking. So the point is this, the most important information you need to have as a dad is that your child, if she's on a cell phone, is being targeted by content that's going to lead her in the wrong direction. And you as a father need to be in charge. You need to know that any type of TikTok usage is going to lead to your IP address and your location. It is owned by the ByteDance Corporation, and China's planning something. Any female currently using TikTok does not respect me, does not respect herself, nor the Uyghurs in China that have been put in concentration camps, nor the family members. Everybody having anything to do with the TikTok platform is taken. And notice Donald Trump is protecting them because Donald Trump was helped by the TikTok algorithm. TikTok works both sides, and the TikTok challenges will continue to promote. There may be other dark web or social media sites coming that will promote the rape of the American white girl. They put it in media, they put it in comics, and I'm disappointed not one of you wants to join me as a porn critic to talk about the specific websites and ask the mysterious questions, who owns this shit? Why would they put in comic books a future dystopian America where African troops, Chinese troops, Russian troops, other troops hunt down white women on the West Coast I-5 corridor? What type of human being would become a witness to that and not speak out? What type of a white man would jerk it to that and still blame the Muslims and the migrants for rape? So you need to think real long and hard, know what I mean, about what's coming. Now, if you advertise you're a prepper, watch out for your neighbors. Your neighbors, if they have a soul, should be kind to you if you try to offer them info about what's coming. If your neighbors think you're a piece of shit, like mine probably think I am, for trying to help them and think positive thoughts about them, don't think that they're going to be your friend when the shit's the fan. And these people are so scummy, they're probably going to offer their daughters for food because that's how scumbaggy America is. So when the shit's the fan and they don't get their internet and they don't get their this, they're going to be doing crazy shit and fucking in the street just to get off, just to feel good, because they don't have the dopamine from the phone. So you see lots of nasty carnal sex out in the open, but it's going to look disgusting. It's not going to be glamorous. It's going to be painful. People are going to be screaming and crying. And I've been warning you about this for a long time. And it was after I warned you about this that then in the porno scene, all this nightmarish monster horror porn started to emerge. Okay. And in the world of pornography criticism, no man goes as far as I. No human goes as far as I. When we talk about the solar flares in all the different ways, let's move on. The people are affected by the solar flares. There is no other but me on planet Earth that's able to pinpoint all the different things that those solar flares influence. You could be a suspicious observer, jerk off, and just stay on, ooh, look at this, the bright flash. Ah, we're doomed. They're covering up. They ain't covering up shit, jackass. It's obvious that the grid is preparing for grid down. Repeating that talking point, and sometimes I wonder if a guy who is watching my channel, who's friends with suspicious observers, is just stealing and ripping off my content and then giving it to him. Because this is the way of the thief. They rip off the third world and they culturally appropriate all types of data, and then they make it yours. Ryan McPherson at Bagosa was right. That people would ignore my warnings about the solar flares, make it theirs, if anything. And so China, solar flares, what's coming with World War III, the Aurora Borealis, you're going to continue to see people lose their minds and their daughters and their money. And as more people lose their money, more people will become traffickers, including females. Okay, so this is all basic. I went to the gym today and proudly displayed my colors because I'm a true, in the spirit of the true 1%, but those serving God, not an outlaw biker gang. So I am a 1%er. But it's far less than 1%. Those that are actually choosing to serve God on the earth is way less than 1%. We have a lot of LARPers and posers. And the sooner you figure that out, the sooner you can free yourself from the games that are being played by a lot. Because listen, you need to have food, water, and you need to learn a lesson from the human traffickers. Stay with me here. Don't stop watching. Listen to what I'm saying. What if they were going door to door looking for women to abduct them? Would you know where to hide your wife? Now, I want you to think about that as you look around your room. I want to draw your attention to the scene in Credulous Bastards, I'm not a fan of Quentin Tarantino glamorizing murder of the Nazis because it just promotes more bloodbath, and I think he's a scumbag. But there's an interesting scene there in that movie. I don't like the fact that they tortured the cop, okay, in Reservoir Dogs. Okay, I think porno in Hollywood movies gives men and women ideas and is an instruction manual. Mainstream porno now is going to be teaching the coming generation how to take a woman and give her the most extreme form of pain that will make her wish for death. This is not life-giving. Porno, sucking and fucking, is supposed to be about life-giving energy. Have you ever heard of the 1970s by chance? Have you ever heard of disco? See, what was going on back then wasn't perfect, but it was light years different. Staying alive, I want to love you, you can ring my bell, whoop, whoop. And then the love songs in the mid-70s, you know? And then a little bit before that, I want to hold your hand, I want to hold your hand. Fast forward 80 years, I want to break your hand. And then we have this horrible, horrible porn where it's not even clear whether mainstream women now like that abuse or it's just simulated. What can be said is in the 1 year litmus test of me handing out my card to individuals in this town, they want nothing to do with a short-tanned good man who's psychic and spiritual, who's been predicted the world events happening now. They hear that shit and even that claim about being aware, and they get goosebumps, but yet they'll be all about witchcraft and some TikTok witch with makeup leading them to a bad man, but actual good man telling them that they're beautiful. Under that makeup, they'll think it's a cult leader. So you need to understand the real nature of the gaslight. And they're amongst us in the conspiracy movement, all types of demons that are just upset that they're waking up that they're slaves and archons. You're like, what the fuck? This is not good. It is not good. But why are you in the body? Answer the question, little girl. Why did you reincarnate? Or are you at odds with this truth that you're back in black to learn what you didn't learn before? Because I don't want to come back here. And now they're just my friend. We have a pact. We're like, Apollo Creed and Schwarzenegger and Predator against the Predator. The tough guy hands coming together because we were bros in Europe in 1500, me and her. And how many of us knew each other back in the day? And how many of you took me out back in the village back in the day? I'm back, folks, and so are you. So this rage within me, it's not from just this life. This pain within me is not just from this life. This understanding that I have about the value of the human female being a great thing and not something to desecrate is not just from this life and world. But many, I'll stay out of you statements. Many in the world, whether it's you, that's for you to know, are not good souls. They have bad history on the earth. And some men may have been men that did bad shit on other planets or realities before they came into female vessels. Okay, the real nature of karma, according to the East Indian tradition, is that you can change genders, you can change races. And so what I'm interpreting is that they're leading people to being oppressors and benefiting from cultural appropriation, white supremacy, black supremacy, but it's all leading their souls to a damnation, Planet Pop-Tart reality. So let's get back to prepping. You should already have books on strategically relocating. You should already know where you would go in America if you would go off grid. You should already know right now how much it costs to live in Colorado, and you should already know if you're planning to go off grid later, the land doubled. You should already know that you can't go off grid anymore in Costa County because you should already know that Americans, maybe like yourself, don't give a fuck about people like me that stood up for off-grid rights years ago. And it's because of that now in 2024 that many people aren't ready to go off grid. They're actually locked in the cities financially. Do you understand the concept of being locked somewhere financially? That you can't get out of, that you can't squirm out of, like a paper bag that you don't even know is there, that it has a steel mesh wiring around it, and you don't have the cutters to get out of the chicken wire. And I'm trying to give you the cutters. Lesson number 2 or 3, where are we? 4, you want to get away from any regions if you can, if God will help you, where there's way too many sins and human trafficking or stripping going on. If you have an oversaturation of evil women, especially if they're pretty, watch out, because the prettier and more evil the region, the more likely human traffickers will be magnetically drawn to that region. Speaking from a spiritual perspective, because the hand of protection is being lifted from the women in Portland in many regions, not all, right, but a significant number. And while they may survive the human trafficking, not the attack on their soul and the temptation to be a dark being, which is why no one gravitates to me from the Portland area they're repelled by me because I'm calling out an evil that they are oracally corded to. And so, like my mother and others, they don't want to address the past and heal the past and write letters, emails about the past. Everything still shits and giggles. The best I can get, thank you. But when you're at the level with all we do is email and like and cell phone, they've already got us by the cojones. This type of being migrated out of the farm and into the cities and trusting welfare is crazy. Listen, once a woman understands that the people that own her building hate her and don't care about her safety, that's the moment for her to prepare for what comes next and to do everything in her power as a spiritual being of light, if she is one and not a LARPer, a poser, a fake. To use the internet not to watch Lady Gaga or to find more aspartame products and Coca-Cola and cigarettes for cheap on eBay, but to try to start a conversation with the man who's a landowner and maybe offer to be a caretaker, basically, instead of maybe watching someone else's kids. If somebody wakes up to the fact that D-Day is coming, then they need to work on their computers. There's many, many women out there that still have some sort of monetariness, and that monetariness, the fact that they're not homeless yet, the fact they're still being held up by the welfare state, is really prolonging them moving into action. The evil one works is to manipulate the lives also of men and women during their youth. They're old, they're not ready to prepare to become old. And so the difference then is taken from the arrogant man or woman when they're in their 30s and 40s and they start thinking that they can live forever because of a mind control op. So they don't think about caring for their kids. They don't want to correct the past. They don't want to prepare. They don't want books in the mail that could save their ass. They want to stay in a flat screen, like tablet reality. And that's nightmarish for men like me that know what's coming, that these people are just like the nutcase lady in Thriller, screaming after Michael Jackson is coming in through the door with the zombies that came up through the sewer. That's the future that's coming. If you have a space to get a 55-gallon drum, get that. If you are on the Azure Standard route and you like whole grain foods, I've been promoting them for 20 years. Patricia gets credit for me as a former girlfriend for coming to my meetups in 2006 with Portlanders. And me and 15 Portlanders bought thousands of pounds of food because we believed at that time, through Alex Jones coverage and other opinions, that George Bush was going to declare martial law. I'm not going to apologize to you for preparing for an events early on, but just tell you we've been preparing for this for a long time. Usually older white men older than me that are veterans, patriots, more so than Portland leftists. Portland leftists have a very naive, we can just plant trees and go kumbaya, but they have not addressed their own white supremacy, and they project too much on Trump when they have skeletons in their closet and anal beads. I want to thank you to Evan for commenting. I want to thank you to the waitress at Denny's, in another state, that is, for commenting. If you have money and finances, there's aspects of Colorado that will be safe, but you want to get away from the front range and you want to be in a pocket. And if you're on the radar, then you don't want to have anything attached to your name as far as land ownership, because I had land attached to my name. Haters, either from the government or from the world of white supremacy, they never really told me what their bias was and why they hated me. I'm not sure if they still understand the demons inside their body, but they worked very tirelessly to make me feel unsafe on the only thing that I ever owned, confusing me for a criminal when I was slandered and it was fake news. So in the era of people going fake news, fake news, fake news, they sure like to suck the cock of a whole lot of fake news. And I mean, there's a whole lot of fake news lovers. Good morning. And so self-defense is important. Every man who's able-bodied should learn self-defense. And you don't have to go to MMA school. That's a cult attitude. And beware of those folks that say that you have to go to the gym and roll around with questionable dudes with demons coming out of their eyes to learn how to defend yourself. MMA will not save you from the brothers from downtown getting out of the car 3 deep. You have to have knockout power, A-man power, a bouncer power, the type of power that a bouncer has to deal with a flash mob. Okay. MMA is a part of boxing. MMA is a part. MMA is a standalone and removing. And MMA is not anti-heavy bag. It's people that won't give me credit for the heavy bag workout that I act like I'm not doing enough, when for years hitting the heavy bag was always enough. Look at Chuck Norris. Look at Bruce Lee. Look at Rocky, and then get back to me. Your own American culture has respected the fighter, the Jake Paul, the Mike Tyson. So when people are going to look down upon me, I know that it's a part of a deeper systemic prejudice that people like me can't be true leaders of men. to protect your women from the rape gangs that are coming. And I am the one, in my eyes, that should be the commander of the United States military. And so people that would confuse me for a pacifist leftist don't understand the rage within me that hates the human trafficking kingpins and wants to kick their teeth in, along with everybody that would call me crazy for saying that human trafficking is getting worse. They are with the human traffickers. Those that deny that I'm right are with the evil ones. And I want you to chew on that and understand why they'll come up with these allegations. This person's demonic. This person's evil. This person's a witch. What is the logic behind these allegations that something crazy, but it's really actually very, very psychic? We have way too many women on the planet that are anti-prepping, that don't respect my work. And years ago, I told you how to prepare for urban arrest before the George Floyd protests. Portland is a portal of darkness. I don't live there, but people keep assuming that I live there because I talk about Portland. Because such hate has been waged against me all throughout the planet, Portland and Colorado are the only regions that I speak of, okay, in a literal sense. Because the evil there is so great that when you talk about the evil when you're there, it creates relationship problems, roommate situations, and demonic attacks. And the evil beings force you out. If you're trying to fight evil and you're on the radio and you're talking about being ethnic and being affected by racism, your weaknesses that you broadcast to the world on YouTube will be used against you in your darkest days. The evil about this world, that's what's concerning, is the sacrifice of old women and old men. In this region that I live in, old men live their lives all the time that are mothers, that are fathers of children. They're just ran over by cars and no one knows why. Little girls walking down the street just ran over by cars. I have never lived ever in my life anywhere where Murder Incorporated was a way of life and the people that live here go, what are you going to do? It's fucking, bro. Have a cigar, bro. You think too much. I think too much. Yeah, bro, you care too much, bro. Have a Big Mac. What the fuck, bro? Like literally, like the other day at we're just gonna have to stay in the shadows. The other day at Walmart or someplace, I was looking for somebody to give my card to, and basically all I can see was, there we go, a soulless look looking back at me with pure black eyes, twice in one day. The black-eyed children, they're here, man. And that's what people need to understand when they're attacking us men for calling certain humans evil. It's the lack of compassion. It's a lack of support that are not part of the rape system, that are not part of the historical, quote, patriarchy of dominating women. Basically, I see myself as a new man. For those that haven't heard the memo, that my combination of races to me is a new man in a positive sense, not a new man conspiracy sense, but a new man sense as far as like I am a new race, what I am. And you don't need to be offended by that. You don't need to dislike. You don't need to run away. I'm not saying I'm better than you, but this argument that I was inferior, that I was not worth work, that I was making stuff about being oppressed, that's whole Satanism, what your people have done to me. And I will write a book about it because it's been abuse. And me fighting back against this abuse has hurt people themselves, not just me, in getting prepared. If you're abusing me and I'm trying to help you protect your family and your anus from what's coming, you're on the wrong path. You're on the wrong side, little girl. If you're thinking that I have a cult or something because I'm giving you life-saving info out of years of proving myself, you're on the wrong side, and you probably need to throw that cell phone and your TikTok in the river and never look back. And so these cell phones are going to be tracking devices. The corporations, which are going to be ruled by the Antichrist, are going to use the cell phones for the roundups. And so women are going to have to go into nature and get rid of cell phones and find decent men that are not going to actually secretly film them and gang rape them and put it on the dystopian American Girl for Sale website, because those websites will be all over America. And people will be traumatized by the real world events being showed on the internet with people jerking it all across the world as Americans are sacrificed on stakes like Jesus and burned alive and then filmed and then burned alive and filmed. And the whole world being shown in a documentary, this is what had to be because of America's history. And I'm telling you, fuck that shit. All I'm asking you to do is just stop the hate that actually does exist and try to give yourself some cushion room so that you do not draw evil to your house.